It's Saturday night. I don't expect a whole lot of people to be on this live video, but I had a very interesting experience happen to me tonight. I was asked about a couple months ago to speak at the We the People conference here in Idaho. I've spoken at this conference for the last several years, and it's always been pretty good. And I was asked by Tony Pellegrino this year, came, ended up speaking for about an hour about liberty, about where we're at in Idaho. I felt there was a great spirit, that there was a good reception. And then they decided that they were going to have like this round table. And anyway, I have some concerns about, that this was intended or planned. They tried to entrap me in this situation. I can see now that it was probably intentional, but and that's okay. But I know that Tony is friends with Kirk Pendergrass, and what happened about a little over a year ago, is there was a group of people that went downtown Boise, and they were associated with me, with People's Rights, and they went downtown and began to pretty much force their way into businesses, refusing to put masks on. And they basically are taking the line that because the business is a public business, or open to the public, that it's a public business. And therefore that the business, the corporation or the business or whatever, because it's open to the public, has to follow the rules of the public. And they're somehow saying that, masks are... Sorry, my throat's a little dry. Thanks for telling me you can't hear me very good. I'll speak up. So these people were going downtown. They were going into these businesses, these small businesses downtown Boise, and they, who were basically requiring masks to come into their businesses, and they were refusing to wear masks. And then they were saying that the business, because they're open to the public, has to follow basically what the rules of the public are. And I disagreed with them then and disagree with them now. I made a statement that you'll find actually on this channel, YouTube channel, about the principles of private property and how they apply to a business. And it doesn't matter if the business owner chooses to allow people come from the street or whatever else, the principles of private property ownership still applies, because a business owner purchases that property. A business owner, hires the employees, makes the policies, gets the loans, does all the things that they do in order to make that business successful, including the 16 to 17 hours a day of work. All of that is that person's property. And just because he opens up to the public doesn't mean that all of a sudden he loses those rights. And so this idea that, if you're public or open to the public, you're a business, this idea that a person can come in and try to force, the business owner to do business with them the way they want to is wrong. And this is what Kirk Pendergrass is pushing. And I want to connect the dots with what he is doing and how he has got a lot of people convinced that if a business is open to the public, that somehow they're a public business. That is right to refuse service. Matt Rogers understands that. Each business has a right to refuse service. It doesn't matter if they're a corporation or, if they're a self-entity or LLC or whatever. It doesn't matter. Now, you might not like this. people might not like this. They want to be able to go into a business and they want to, not have to wear a mask. And I am the same way. But the choice is whether we go in or not. That's right. Mighty Mouse girlfriend. That's right. When you go into that business, you have the choice to go in or not. And if you don't like the conditions that the business owner has set, then you don't go in. You don't give them your money. You don't give them you don't be their customer. And so it ended up where this conference was ended up in a little bit of an uproar because I would not agree with them. And they, it looks like they tried to set me up, which I'm fine with that. I don't agree with them. Now, like I said, I was wanting to connect this. Socialism, which is the gateway to communism. Socialism, by definition, is when the government controls the means of production. And what Kirk Pendergrass is pushing, and with the others that were in there that were trying to basically entrap me in this, round table, what they're saying is that when you become a business that's open to the public, then the government gets to control your means of production. That is socialism. That is a Karl Marx communist step to communism, to get control of the means of production. Communism is where private property becomes common, including and especially the businesses or the means of production. And so to save literally our liberty and our right to freely trade with each other, that right is given to us from God. To save that, we have to stamp out and dispel people like Kirk Pendergrass. He is basically a socialist. He is pushing socialism. He is saying that a business must follow the policies of the public, which is communism, that the business must be common. That is exactly what he's saying. And any other way, doesn't matter. You could say corporation this, you could say, this or that. And for the government to get involved in that is basically socialism. Now, there was one man there who asked the question, who was obviously there to ask that question. That was his entire intent, which I think was the entire intent of the, the questions and the, round table and all of that. I think it was set up that way. I don't know if Tony was involved in that or if he was just manipulated by Kirk, but it was pretty obvious that's what it was. And they thought that they were going to make me look bad using the Idaho Constitution. But on the end of that clause that was read, I believe it was Article 11 or Section 11. I need to go to that. Basically talks about corporations not infringing the rights of the people. And yeah, that is correct. Just like the government does not have a right to infringe upon the rights of the people, neither does a corporation. But, if a corporation was to force you into their business, was force you to buy, then that would be an infringement upon your rights. Or if they were to force you to, into slavery, those type of things would not be right. And that's what the Constitution was saying. That's what the Idaho Constitution prohibits. It prohibits a corporation or a business from, infringing upon the rights of the people, even the right of conscience. But that in no way disparages a business owner's right to determine what goes on in his property, which is his business, even if he's open to the public. So what Kirk Pendergrass is saying is wrong. And in fact, like it or not, if you get on, and I use this example, if you want to fly, right, and you got to get on Southwest airplane, and Southwest says, look, you got to wear a mask in order to fly on our property, then by hell, that's their decision to make, and that is their decision, like it or not. And I might lose all my support, but that's just the way it is. If I decide to buy an airplane and I decide to fly people from one point to another, and I make the policies, then you can decide to fly on my airplane or not. But those are my policies. Why? Because it's my private property. And just because I'm open to the public getting on my plane and flying and paying me to fly them, that doesn't mean I lose my rights as a property owner, especially as a business owner. I mean, their principles and their concepts of what they're trying to push is completely wrong. And it is socialism. You know, it is socialism, and it will destroy this country. It'll destroy Idaho if we allow that to take root. You know, so Kirk Pendergrass will destroy Idaho if his ideas, you know, like them or not, take root. They will destroy Idaho because it'll destroy all the businesses and all the right to trade with each other. And, you know, I understand why you feel that way, why people feel that way. They think they can go to a hospital and force a nurse or force a doctor to give them service without complying to their policies. Well, I'm sorry. As long as that hospital is private property, as long as that hospital is a private business, which I know it gets convoluted when you're talking about, you know, they received a bunch of public funds and all of that, and there certainly is something there. But when it comes to a private corporation or a private business, it doesn't matter if it's a hospital or if it's a doctor's office, or if it's an airliner, or if it's a little business downtown Boise, serving coffee. The business owners get to make the policies because it's their private property. And the government doesn't have a right to infringe upon those decisions, and neither does the public. Otherwise, it is socialism, the control of the means, when the government or the people are controlling the means of production. And socialism is the gateway to communism. And I'm sorry, but, Kirk and anybody else who agrees with them, you're wrong. And you will destroy free trade in this country, free trade in Idaho. You will destroy that. And, I was, entrapped in that situation that was kind of controlled by those who set it up. And I was more than willing to argue that point. I did argue it. I made my examples. But somehow they believe that they have a right to make the decision to go into that business, and then that business has to comply to what the common has agreed. And that, my friends, is communism. That is communism, where the private business, including the means of production, becomes common, where the people, or technically the government policies, rule the business owners. And like it or not, I know I've said it multiple times, I'm just trying to emphasize, like it or not, that destroys liberty. And anybody who is supporting a candidate, because I know that this is how Janice McGeehan believes. I believe that she believes. And if she's wrong, or if I'm wrong in that, then I apologize, because I think her policies have been to control small businesses. Her voting record has been that. And people want to make a decision between her and I of who they're going to support to run against Little. And if you support, businesses that are open to the public, if you support the government or the public controlling those businesses, then you should not vote for me. You should vote for Janice McGeehan. And if enough people will, express that to me now, that look, we agree that with Janice that and Governor Little, because they both agree that private businesses, public businesses, corporations, all of those businesses, that if they're open to the public, that they should be controlled by public policy. If you believe that, then you should not vote for me, because I do not believe that in any way. That is one of the things I don't believe. I can clearly say that I do not believe that. I have been a small business owner. I know what it takes. I know the financial risk that a small business owner takes. I know how tough it is. I know the many, many hours that it takes to make a business run, to hire employees, to keep them in a paycheck, to give them the things that they need in order to do their job, to provide a service and produce. It's extremely, extremely hard. And then to have people like Kirk Pendergrass coming in here and saying that somehow that work is now public and the policies are public and the property is public. It's just wrong, and I'll stand against it until the day I die. So thank you very much. I'm going to get off this phone or off this. I think I beat a dead horse long enough. So thanks for listening, and have a great day.